Hi everyone, this is Mr. Schrader, and I want to talk about the Chemical Reaction Study Guide. We do have a quiz coming up, and I want to make sure and go over the content that you'll see on that. So I'm just going to kind of go down the list of questions and quickly answer them so that you have an idea of what you're looking for. The first one is, what is a chemical reaction? Define a chemical reaction. A chemical reaction is when two or more substances combine to create a new substance. The molecules literally rearrange themselves from the reactants to the products. So everything on the left-hand side of the equation is the reactants, everything on the right-hand side is the products. So in a chemical reaction, new substances are formed because those atoms combine and bond with different atoms to form new substances. 5 indicators of a chemical reaction, five ways you know that a chemical reaction is taking place. If a color change happens, if there's a gas or precipitate formed, or if it produces heat, if it produces light, and if it produces an odor. If any of those things are evident, you more than likely have a chemical reaction occurring. The law of conservation of mass is an important concept that we study this unit, and it states that in a chemical reaction, matter cannot be created or destroyed. So in our examples, when we did actual molecules, we had to account for every single atom on the reactant side and every atom on the product side. So basically what it says is the mass of the substances on the reactant side is equal to the mass of the substances on the product side, because you cannot take any atoms away or you can't add any atoms. It's all equal. So that says that if I have a substance, or if I'm combining substances and reacting together and their total mass is 5 2/10 grams on the product side, after the reaction occurs, you need to account for 5 2/10 grams. So the products will be equal in mass to the reactants. The next question says, describe in words the following reactions. I've got the coefficient 6 CO2s plus 6 H2Os yields to C6H12O6 plus 6 O2s. What that says is I have 6 molecules of CO2 that react with 6 molecules of H2O, which is water, and that produces or yields to 1 molecule of C6H12O6 and 6 molecules of O2, which is just the air we breathe. Next question. If the first part of the balanced chemical reaction is shown, how many of each element should be found in the reactants? Or in the products, I'm sorry. Now this is a question that's designed to make sure you know what a coefficient is and what a subscript is. The coefficient is, in this equation, the big 6 that comes before the CO2 and the big 6 that comes before the H2O. Those big numbered 6's, that says I have 6 of those molecules. The subscript, for example, in O2, the small little 2, says I've got 2 atoms of oxygen in that molecule. So the 6 CO2 says I have 6 molecules of O2. So I've got 6 atoms of carbon, and I've got 6 times 2 atoms of oxygen in that molecule, because every molecule has 2 oxygens, and I have 6 of them, so there would be 12 oxygens there. Then what I have is 6 H2Os, so I have 6 times 2 hydrogens and 6 oxygens on that side. So if I add all that together, I have 6 carbons. I have 6 times 2 is 12 plus 6 would be 18 oxygens, because I have 12 in the CO2 and 6 in the H2O. And then I have 6 times 2 hydrogens, 6 molecules of 2 hydrogens each. So I have 12 hydrogens. And the last part of the quiz is going to be a constructed response. And what you'll do is you'll get a situation. It'll tell you kind of some observations as well as a chemical formula. And you have to be able to explain what's going on. You're going to be expected to explain how you can tell the difference from a chemical equation that this is a chemical reaction and not just a physical change. And what that means, if I look at the chemical equation, I can see new substances formed from the reactants to the products. The reactant substances are not the same as the product substances. Cite 2 observations that you would likely indicate that a chemical reaction is occurring. Now, those are those 5 things. So, from the observations, from the narrative that it gives you, you need to tell me, is there a color change? Is there a gas or precipitate? Is there light formed? Is there heat or temperature change? And is there an odor formed? If any of those are occurring, then you have a chemical reaction more than likely. So, in the narrative, you're going to have to find 2 of those things described. Identify the reactants and the products of the reaction. So you'll look at the chemical formula. You'll say this part on the left is the reactant side. This part on the right is the product side. So you have to identify what part is the, tell me the chemical formulas for the reactants and the products. And the last part, explain how the chemical equation shows that the law of conservation of mass is satisfied in this reaction. You have to tell me that everything on the reactant side is accounted for on the product side, that matter has neither been created nor destroyed. So you have to say, how many of each atom did I have on the reactants and on the products? If you can do all of that, it's really just applying all of the above information. So I think it's going to be all right. It's going to take a little bit of thinking, which I'm excited about, but really I think they've got the knowledge to do it. Good luck. May the odds be ever in your favor.